It is Friday, August 30th, 2024. I am Jake Payne. This is Things You Might Have Heard, and boy, have I got news for you today. 8 stories in the queue that you deemed as conversational. You put in the work. You guys did this. You told me these stories are worth talking about, so we got them here for you. We'll explain the full vetting process in a bit, but just know that we have great news on Telegram. Well, not great news for the owner of Telegram. Great news on Pat McAfee. Well, not exactly great news with Pat McAfee, but great tidings. Great celebration for one Cameron Diaz and a few others in their birthdays today. So go to our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, and find out what we do, how we do it, where we do it, a whole bunch of stuff there. The background for this thing here is there. Plus, you can also do other great things, including turning off alarms that decide they want to go off at the exact wrong time, because they do that. You can also go to your email machine and email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com to get the Google machine out and tell me to turn off my phone. Remind me to turn my phone off, because apparently I did not do that this morning. Let's get into the actual news for the day. 8 stories in the queue. We'll explain how that works out and go future casting in a bit. Today, as we said, because it is Friday, August the 30th, 2024. No particular order as these stories come down. We will explain that in a while. But this first story is the tops. I suspected it would be. I was hoping it wouldn't be, but it is what it is. Oh, we're not talking Kamala Harris in her interview. We'll explain a little bit that one towards the end of the show, but we'll have some special stuff on the weekend for that one. Let's get into story number 1 for the day. Number 1 engaged story of the day for your Thursday. And this is one that, like I say often, I have no care for, but I put it in there for the clicks. It's about conversation. It's about looks, eyeballs. You gave it eyeballs. K-pop star Taeil, well, I don't even know how to say his name, quits NCT Boy band over sex crime accusation. I don't know the band. I don't know the guy. You see a picture on the video. There's like 9 people in these things because they can manufacture these things so quickly, and they're going to replace them pretty quickly. K-pop star Taeil, Taeil, is a member of the boy band NCT. He announced he's leaving the group following some accusations on sexual crime. No real details on the crimes out there, but there's a lot of stuff in the public scrutiny. So people who know, people in the realm where this thing happened and people in the realm of the music business where they follow this guy know what they know. It's prompting a lot of big decisions going on there. A lot of investigation. Further details expected as the case develops and what's happened to him directly. But for the moment, he is dropping from the band. Will the band just live on as 7 guys, or will they get another guy? Will they add 3 more guys because they have an opening? K-pop bands are something that are hard to explain. They're just a phenomenon that you just kind of go along with. A lot like the boy band of the 90s, where we just had the Ron Perlman documentary where he just kept cranking them out as a front to the operation that didn't exist. It's a lot like that. So you may love some NCT, you may love some K-pop, you may love this guy in particular, but he's stepping down to deal with some actual serious allegations, which he should going forward. How his career will go, how this trial will go, we shall see. And if we get more details on this one or something else to post, trust me, I will post it because I got so much interaction from this one. I don't think I can get it much from a hot take, but people responded to this one, so maybe I got some subscribers from this actual link. Let's go to something that's probably not getting me any more subscribers, but it's a story that's a bit more complicated and more important than the last story, you would say, even though there are serious allegations in that one. Headline for story number 2 this morning: France hands Telegram CEO Pavel Durov preliminary charges over alleged criminal activity on the app. So here's the deal with Durov. He can't leave France. He is stuck in France right now with preliminary charges related to the messaging platform and its alleged role in illegal activities. He's essentially being tied to Telegram being the problem, but being blamed for the problem as the CEO. And this is a lot of this stuff is including stuff in Russia. Really, really bad things happening with Russians and other people around, other denizens around the world. And he's getting the blame for, or most of the fingers point at it. Not so much Telegram, but him. Charges include money laundering and potential connections to organized crime. You may have heard that one before. The investigation has drawn international attention, and Telegram's widespread use and controversial reputation does not help the activities going forward that they seem to be shielding. Durov is based in the UAE, actually. That's where he actually lives, and he has yet to comment publicly on the charges. But as of right now, other stories have him being stuck in France. He's a dual citizen of France and Russia. He lives essentially in UAE. But right now, he's stuck in France while the preliminary charges are played out. Not a bad place to be, I guess, if you're a rich guy and have all these things going on. But having these charges over your head for this app that you created has to be a bit stressful. And I'm running out of pictures. All the pictures are him, Steve Jobsing it at conferences, wearing the headset, wearing the black turtleneck. So basically all the pictures of him doing. So I'm running out of images. So if you know where some better images are, please let me know, because we'll be doing more of Durov for quite some time. Let's get into some of the business stuff. That's also some of the icky stuff. And a lot of it is food stuff. Starting off with the story at the number 3 spot. Kroger executive admits company gouged prices above inflation. Let's go deeper. The executive admitted that the company raised prices beyond what was necessary to offset inflation, effectively gouging customers during a period of economic strain, essentially pandemic and outside of pandemic times. The acknowledgement has sparked outrage as consumers have been dealing with the rising costs on essential goods. The company's actions are being scrutinized, especially given the impact on how low-income families who were disproportionately affected by price hikes. This is, the issues with eggs prices never coming down after inflation started to get better. And after we started fixing the supply issues, how things just did not seem to figure out a way to come down. When there was more supply, demand was levelized. So the prices of things should have gone down some. And why did this happen? Mostly because when prices go up, they never really come down. And Kroger is now admitting that they actually did this stuff on purpose. They looked at the inflationary issues and saw a way to make more money and keep prices artificially inflated just a bit longer to get more money out of it. And as we said in this article, affected a lot of disproportionately affected folks who essentially didn't have the money to pay for stuff, or had to find ways to curb things or substitute things for whatever. And then this is not so much, going from French's, from Grey Poupon. This is people who literally used to trying to feed a family on general things like eggs and realizing that egg prices never go down or milk prices never go down, things like that. Let's get nasty. Let's get real nasty. Story for number 4 this morning. Bugs, mold, and mildew found in Boar's Head plant linked to deadly Listeria outbreak. We have not posted stories on the actual outbreak and the recalls of Boar's Head, just because it did not get picked up in sort of the packaging that we had out there. We'll explain the packaging, how we get 8 stories out of over 30 stories in a day. But we are doing this one because just like for the Boeing plant, where they found out they were using dishwashing liquid as lubricant, the inspection of the Boar Heads plant found very significant health and safety issues, which is like bugs around, mold in materials, and mildew all over the place, which means it's probably not a safe place to be, and is probably why things like Listeria, and other harmful bacteria are in their meats. These findings raised alarms about the plant's sanitation conditions, obviously, prompted further investigations to ensure food safety standards are met. Now, Boar's Head products have put out, if you see the picture there, the disclaimer or possible recalls for stuff like that. What they're telling us now is anything on the market now is well beyond the standard of good. So if you see something on the shelf, it's like, how can they recall stuff and have this meat sitting on the shelf? That stuff is apparently good meat. It's the bad meat from before processed in places like this one that you have to worry about. So go ahead and take a look at the labels on your Boar's Head products and make sure that they are not falling into the older stuff, the stuff that they have recall on. Check the recall listings. But right now, we're told that new stuff, current stuff on the market is safe. And we know from the past and people dealing with these things that the business for the new stuff will not be so great because people don't think it's safe. You know what's safe to do? It's safe to share us with your friends because we're a safe source of news, a safe supplemental source of news. We are not your main news source. Obviously, I sat and watched the CNN interview last night with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as a consumer, but also as a person to give you some details on that one as well. So this is one thing we'll do this weekend. We'll talk about that will be direct stuff. We're going to do a direct video talking about my breakdown of the video, or my breakdown of the interview, I should say. But if you like the way we break down other stories as your supplemental source, hitting things that might be missed and some of the bigger things with a bit of different perspective, 3 things you can do. Like this video or the audio that you're listening to. This may be the audio version you listen to on some of the podcatchers. Share this video or audio with other people so we have more people in the family of news nerds to get more details from. And subscribe to whatever platform you're liking, or find one of other platforms and subscribe to it in a better platform. Maybe you're not a YouTube person. Maybe you're a Facebook person. Go look forward. You found us on YouTube. Go find us on Facebook and subscribe to our feed. We'll explain that in a moment. And subscribe to getting our videos to you directly, or audios based on how they go there. Like, share, and subscribe, and be a part of the family. Let's move back on to the news. This is one, I'm going to sidebar this one in a moment. This is one that I actually have some personal experience with. Not so much Wells Fargo, but the finding. The headline for story number 5 this morning reads, Wells Fargo employee found dead at office desk 4 days after clocking in. A Wells Fargo employee was found dead at their desk in the Arlington, Texas branch. Incident currently under investigation. Not quite determined the cause of death, but the branch is temporarily closed as investigations go, raising concerns about an outpouring of sympathy for the family and the employer, of course, but also concerns about what exactly went on, how this thing happened, and how this could have happened, this issue. Sidebar on this one, a personal experience. When I was in the Air Force, literally when I got in the Air Force, like the day I showed up on my first base at Gunner Annex in Montgomery, I got there. There was a whole bunch of crazy going on. I was getting inundated on the new stuff going on. Within a few weeks of me basically getting, settled and whatever, we had an incident where a commander, a major, went to his office on a Friday night because his wife was out of town. He had extra work to do. So he went to his office on a Friday night to do a couple things. And then Monday morning, his secretary found him dead in his office. He basically died on that Friday of a heart attack, a heart issue. Heart attack is, general, but basically he had a heart attack in the office and was not found until 4 days later, the next end of the weekend. So what exactly he had to do that was so important? Just a general stress of being a Air Force officer for the most part. He didn't have anything necessarily life-threatening to take care of that weekend, but it so happened that it was a weekend where no one necessarily would have contact with him. Is like I said, his family was out of town, and they're used to him being gone for long periods of time and not being able to actually communicate because military acting. So it happened like that one. How this incident where this guy did not get known to be gone, not correct, for 4 days, and how he was found. How he was found is not listed here in the write-up, but this how this happened will be less of a mystery once you get some more details on it. We will post updates on this one, but how these things happen are just tragic. Lots of positive energy, lots of love, and all that stuff to the family and the employers, people that worked with the guys there, and the people at that branch. But we need to know answers on what his condition was, whether he was actually ill at some place or something just instantly struck him for this thing here. Let's talk Pat McAfee. I like Pat McAfee. I don't like his show. Or let's say I'm not a fan of the way the show goes because it is a little too much young bro culture. But, back when I was a young bro, there were things that, my folks didn't really get at the time. But Pat McAfee is dealing with some sports media slams over misrepresentations. And he's mad about some calculated attacks against his show. There's plenty of criticism about Pat McAfee's show, and I have plenty myself, but I also just don't watch it. So there's my criticisms. I don't like it, so I don't watch it, but people get into it back and forth. But Pat McAfee is dealing with the people bashing his show, basically saying the journalistic standards aren't there. A lot of things with having Aaron Rodgers on during all the stuff and let him say all the weird stuff about that thing I can't say so I don't get a strike against this video. And just sort of things, how he portrays things going on in his as well. And sort of generally just sort of the roughhousing nature of the show itself. And basically saying they prioritize entertainment over traditional journalism, which is the absolute truth. Because Pat McAfee is a former football kicker, and he's not out there trying to break stories. And he's not Mike Wallace. He's not Chris Wallace. He's none of the Wallaces. He's Pat McAfee. He's having fun. He's bringing in people. He's got eyeballs into this thing, and people who are paying attention to sports that maybe not would have in the other ways because they just like Pat McAfee, and people who are getting into the business because the business needs people. You may not like the direction of the business and the less journalistic integrity of things being out there, because I agree. That's why I do this podcast video thing, because I think some of the journalistic standards and some of the main some of the big boys don't quite do it as well as they should. We'll talk about that when we talk about the interview with Kamala Harris this weekend. But there's a lot of backlash going on, and Pat McAfee right now, he's got scoreboard. He's getting paid. He's got numbers. People want to see, talk about him. So it's working. You may not like it, but he ain't going away anytime soon. Story number 7. This was a lower ranking story, so I was a little tempted not to get into this one, but this is one that affects many of us and actually starts a debate that I saw some journalists do when they were talking about it the other day, going back and forth on what's going on. The headline for story number 7 is Parental Stress is an Urgent Public Health Issue, and U.S. Surgeon General says this in a new advisory to everyone out there. The Surgeon General is saying that parental stress is big. It's large. It's like smoking and depression. This one is a big deal. The advisory highlights the growing pressures parents are facing. This is exacerbated by life, economic challenges, lack of child care support, and societal expectations. Societal expectations is the TikTok, Instagram life of, beautiful people wearing beautiful things, then, with beautiful babies. When in actuality, your baby might not be all that cute. You did not really want to spill that ketchup on your blouse and wear it all day. And you're stressed out and tired. Our Surgeon General, Murphy, calls for increased awareness and support systems to help parents manage stress, emphasizing the need for policies that promote work-life balance, which is near impossible, but you should try it anyway. Affordable child care, which seems to be impossible, but we should try to make that work anyway. And mental health resources, plenty of which are out there. I tout many of them myself because I deal with a lot of stress in my work. And let's just say the 12-year-old is a bit of a handful on her own. And sometimes the 29-year-old is a bit of a handful on his own. So, yes, stress is an issue. Stress is as big as smoking. Yes, stress for parents is a big thing. Now, where it gets a bit of a controversy off the rails is where people who without kids, the childless cat ladies, if you will, often tout that, well, you kind of got into this on your own. You kind of wanted kids, or you had this kid, and now you have to deal with this kid until you're tired of dealing with this kid, sometimes into their 30s, because sometimes kids are always kids. And that's a valid argument to a point, but it's not like it's not like a choice where we said for rehoming puppies. You get stressed out and you take the puppy back. As mad as people can be about that, you can take the puppy back. You can't take the kid back. Sometimes the situations around childbirth are a bit complicated, and it's just it's an argument that really shouldn't be had. Yes, people without kids are stressed, but they don't have to deal with child care and rearing stuff and the safeties of the internet and predators and all the things out there, all the scary things that we somehow as kids just sort of didn't know existed. They exist, they are here, and we as parents worry about them, and the non-parents should worry a bit more about them as well and help out. We're not asking you to babysit. No, you don't have to change any diapers, but just sort of understand and get it. And this is one that almost flew by me. This one is in range for the conversation to be considered, so it's there. This one almost flew by me as some other stories were there. We shifted some things last minute, and this is an interesting story on various levels. And one problem was the robot editor did not quite write it properly. The headline that we have and the story we want to talk about specifically is that civil rights lawyer Ben Crump advertises his firm on patches worn by U.S. Open tennis players. And he's doing this twofold. One, to raise awareness of social justice issues, and something that he does where something happens in the field, and then all of a sudden Ben Crump is their lawyer, and it's all over the place. He takes over. It's Johnny Cochran. It's Robert Kardashian. It's those type of things. It is what it is. It's also advertising his firm. So yeah. It's a weird thing to think of that, got tennis players playing in it's U.S. Open. So it's the last major of the year, and there's a lot of eyeballs on this thing. It's New York City. People are seeing this, and tennis players are out there, they can wear sponsor patches. They're like NASCAR with Ben Crump Law Firm on their shoulder. There's one right there. Now, one of the issues that basically went down with this, and while the robot editor got kind of weirded out in the story, is the fact that there's some people that were basically wearing Ben Crump T-shirts, Ben Crump gear, that were asked to leave the facilities or asked to take it off because officials found it distracting. But guess what? Those are people who were just volunteering, hanging out, wearing T-shirts. If you pay somebody to put a patch on the shirt, you can put a patch on the shirt. And it's not anything that was, outlandish. You see a little bitty patch, just like on the football teams and all athlete, and now basketball. Little bitty patches on their uniforms that you just kind of see it, and it puts that brain branding on you there. And so next time you need, you're in a car wreck, or, you got, divorce stuff, or you're driving a truck and somebody rear-ends you, call the Ben Crump Law Firm, because you're going to have that top of mind. It's going to be there. It's like our Peter Miller here in Arkansas. You can't get the jingle out of your head. When you get in a car crash, Peter Miller's song just plays in your head. Ben Crump Law Firm is going to pop in your head for all sorts of things. And if you are dealing with something on a larger end of social justice, he's there as well. Hopefully I don't have to call Ben Crump. I've actually met Ben Crump. He came into town for dealing with a social justice issue. And he had a press conference at the church that I go to, and I volunteer for audio stuff. So I helped him set the audio up for the press conference. He's a very nice, pleasant man. And he's, from my opinion, fighting the best fight he can. Some people can argue that sometimes his fight's a bit of a, but he's fighting the best fight he can, and he's doing it as, he's pretty successful. People listen, and people are paying attention because his name's on people's shirts now. He's graduated to that spot. This is the teaser section of the Conversation Projects, things you might have heard. So technically, we're out of the show now. We're going to transition to the second show, things you might ought to know, in a moment. But this is where we explain how the stories you just got told got to us to get told. Well, I take them first. I go through scrolling on my phone and scrolling the internet all day long, and every 50 minutes or so, I post a news article from various different sources. Here we have one from Page Six. So we have things from Fox News, from CNN, a lot of AP stuff, a lot of Wire type stuff, Reuters as well. And then we pull stories from various different sources that may be a little bit suspect because they're interesting. We are your supplemental home for news, not your main source. So some of these things are not quite like the other, if you will. Today, we're teasing a story on this Friday that will have to battle for a full weekend of time to talk about it come Monday. But the headline we have for this Friday, posting in this 7 o'clock hour or so you may have to go back and look for it. John Stamos reveals he was kicked out of Scientology orientation for effing around with a spiritual device. There were so many other really serious stories that pop in there, and we were kind of seeing what was pre-posted. We went with this one because it's fun. This may be the only time you get a chance to talk about it, and you may go looking for this one because Uncle Jesse, you can't go wrong with Uncle Jesse, or Blackie if you want to go way back. Many people don't remember Blackie from General Hospital, not quite Port Charles, but Uncle Jesse is definitely where people. And that plastic surgeon dude, he did play that guy as well. But you want to go deep detail on this story right here? You just go to our feeds and look for the story and engage in it, or go to our feeds and look for all the stories that are posted in the real time and engage in them. Like them, love them, hate them, share them. Click the emoji face of your choosing based on whatever you're doing. And on Facebook, you find it at This Is Conversation Project. On X, you find it at th_conversation. What you're going to find there is really good stuff, or maybe not good stuff. Lots of articles on various takes on things. And you tell us what articles, what stories, what news things are worth talking about. It is Friday morning. It is the 30th of August, and literally I have news on while I'm getting prepared for this in the mornings, and all they've done was break down the Kamala Harris-Tim Walz interview, which is really Kamala Harris and a softball interview and Tim Walz hanging on the side. We'll go deeper into that one tomorrow for the weekend. But that's all we got. We got absolutely no other news whatsoever. And trust me, there was 24 hours of stuff that happened that wasn't the hour that was Kamala Harris. So we give you things to choose to tell us know what are good to talk about, and we talk about them the following iteration. Now, this is Friday, so this will happen for Monday. And on Monday, we'll give you 10 stories from the top 30 of the weekend. Get about 30 stories within a day. So we're going to take 10 of the 10 stories from the top 30 from the full weekend. That's 90 plus stories. And then the rest of the week, we'll give you 8 stories like today from the top half, 15 stories, the top 30. That's a bit more inside baseball, but get the fact that this story here has to outlast everyone over the weekend, be in the top 30 to get consideration and be good enough to talk about. We'll see if that happens. Our teaser story for yesterday was the bug and mold story from Boar's Head plant today. So you guys enjoyed that one or really got grossed out. So we talked about it. We'll see. We're talking about John Stamos and effing around with spiritual devices come Monday. Right now, we're going to talk about hostage tape because they're awesome. Let's just say it right out. They're awesome. They do great work for their people. They do great work for their customers. They do great work for the planet. They are saving lives every single day. And sometimes in a real way, saving people's lives because their devices, their wares are great for people with breathing issues. Sometimes saving lives in the, not quite literal sense, but, they're good for people who snore, and people who snore who ruin the lives of their spouses because they snore. They help with that one. Check them out today by going to our website. This is theconversationproject.com/hostage tape. This is an affiliate link because we get an affiliate commission from everything going on. We have all of our sponsors, all the people that do ads for us are affiliate links. We are not quite that good yet. Coca-Cola is not dropping money on us, and definitely we're not getting any Prime sponsorships because we kind of bash Logan Paul a lot. But if you click the links and buy from our sponsors, you can help us get a little bit because you get a small commission from this one. Hostage tape offers the most comfortable mouth tape on the planet. It is tape that goes over your mouth, just like I said. Why would you do that? For breathing. You should be breathing through your nose. And if you're not breathing through your nose, there's probably a problem. So if you're sleeping at night and not breathing through your nose, breathing through your mouth, the mouth tape will keep your mouth closed and you can breathe properly. If you don't want tape over your mouth, you can put strips over your nose that opens up your nostrils and help you breathe deeper there. If you're a high endurance athlete, as the picture has right here, I should update the picture sometime soon for the website, but you put it on your mouth while you're running, while you're working out, and you breathe through your nose. It makes it harder to do TikTok videos, but you breathe through your nose and you get better adjusted to your exercise. So try them out today. This is conversationproject.com/hostage tape. This is conversationproject.com/hostage tape. When we brought them on as a sponsor, people giggled. People was like, what the hell, hostage tape? Guess what? When they have a big deal, they sell out. And it takes some weeks to replenish their supply. So I wouldn't laugh. I would just go out there and buy and join the army of folks who are using hostage tape. This is conversationproject.com/hostage tape is our link, our affiliate link to get a small commission from your buying this product. You can go buy our website. This is theconversationproject.com and find more details on more sponsors. Find more details on what we do, how we do it, where we're doing it, various different forms, various different places. And of course, consider being a partner. We're going to hype our partners at the end of the show today, but these are people who directly fund the Conversation Project. We can use more, more of you. Excuse me. I had to get a frog through for a moment. We talked this week about the grand news about getting monetization on YouTube. So that's great on this end. The pennies that are coming to us aren't quite rolling in yet. So we'll see how that actually works out. It's a bit of a delay to see how it happens. But we're happy to have that as a means to help fund the Conversation Project. But this is a very big thing that needs your help. This is, we're not quite NPR in public radio level, but this is funded by people like you and can be helped funded by people like you. We do have our sponsors. We have our monetization coming through. But if you want to help directly fund us and literally get a say in what's going on, consider becoming a partner and going to the website. We'll do more hype there as well on that end. But in the meantime, make sure you stop by our website and find out things from the past. We have past episodes of this show, listings every single day of all the links we're talking about, links to the other show, the weekend show, which is the weekly wrap-up, which happens every single week, the wrap-up of 12 news stories from the past week that were interesting, that basically caught my best attention throughout the week. and other things as well. You can find us in all the forms we are, in video, in audio, and in newsletter form, and just learn more about the Conversation Project. Stop by our website and have some fun. This is theconversationproject.com. We've done the news. We got the business out of the way. Let's celebrate some beautiful people today. This is things you might ought to know for Friday, August 30th, 2024. That beautiful lady right there, if you're watching video, is Cameron Diaz, and it's her birthday. Happy birthday to Cameron Diaz, who's turning 52 on this day. We also have love going out to Lisa Ling, who is 51, and Bebe Rexha, who is 35 years old today. I can't pick her out of her lineup. I don't know what her music is, but I hear it's good. Lisa Ling, of course, the actor. Oh, no, then I did that. The journalist, Lisa Ling, not confused with Lucy Liu, which I do often, unfortunately, who worked with Cameron Diaz, is a birthday today. She does more independent stuff. The last thing she did that was more mainstream was her documentary series on CNN. And after CNN did the sort of debacle with the CNN Plus that disappeared and went back away, so and they canceled all the documentary series to do cheaper stuff, and now they're going back to documentary series. It's interesting, but you can see her past stuff, her things on CNN. And Cameron Diaz still doing lots of great acting and lots of great projects. I'm sure something new is coming out fairly soon. Happy birthday to these beautiful ladies on this 30th of August. Also for the 30th of August, we're going to talk about some history lessons. Let's start off in 1963, where the hotline between the U.S. and Soviet leaders went into operation. The red phone, the emergency phone to go between us and the Soviets, now the Russians, was installed. So if anything was kind of going to BS haywire, you pick up the red phone and someone will pick it up and on the Russian side say, hey, let us talk for a moment. And you're like, hey, let's talk for a moment. Now, this hotline is more... At this point, it's more ceremonial, although you can pick up the phone and talk to somebody. There are hotlines and channels for people on lower levels of government to talk about. And every time there's some sort of conflict, believe me, there are people on the American side talking to Russian generals and Russian folks on that end going forward. Even in Ukraine, even while Ukraine goes on and while we are backing the Ukrainians, we're still talking to the Russians because you don't not talk to the Russians. But as it is, the hotline, the red phone, put in today in 1963. Let's skip ahead 4 years to 67, where Thurgood Marshall was confirmed as the first African-American justice of the United States Supreme Court. This was a phenomenal decision, a phenomenal point for history for all of us. Having someone that looks like me on the court makes a big difference. It's also just not why the newest justices, most of them are female, but Latinas and females, and Ketanji Jackson Brown Jackson is a great thing to see. Now, we can debate the makeup of the court all we want to. Thurgood Marshall was put in as a time for essentially they needed a good judge. He seemed like a pretty good judge at the time, so they put him in there as opposed to the politicizing of making it even and fair. It's supposed to even and fair stuff out with real judicial minds, but we live in the times we live in. Which brings us to 2021. And on this day, China restricted online gaming for under 18-year-olds to 1 hour on Fridays, weekends, and holidays. I'm not sure the restrictions are still that strict, but China literally turns off the internet for kids. They have their own version of all social media, own version of online games, and it is state law that you cannot use your devices at certain times because the Chinese understand the brain rotten they're sending to us and our kids that they don't want to happen on their end. They can do that. They do that. We don't do that because of freedom of speech and things like that. So there are reasons behind the fact that we can't just shut everything off. At the same time, there might be something to extreme limiting of this media to folks. I'm not sure that kids will go back outside and play again, but there'd be less TikTok rot brain, and not necessarily bash TikTok, although they're owned by the Chinese government. There'd be less of that going on. Today's word, and that last article was not this word, but today's word is satire. Satire means the use of irony, sarcasm, ridicule, or the like to expose, denounce, or deride a folly or corruption of institutions, people, or social structures. Very long explanation to say a satire is making fun of something to get a point across. That's one way to think about it. You use things that are funny, sarcasm, and humor to ridicule a thing, but in the process, you're actually bringing light to some of the downtrodden points of a thing. To use in a sentence, the comedian's performance was a brilliant satire on the state of modern politics, drawing laughter and applause from the audience. And we can use a lot of satire on the state of modern politics because it is a bit of a comedy, as in more or less it's the pain part, not as source the entertainment part. Maybe it's entertaining to you. Satire, your word for the day. Check out more words at thebigwordsproject.com and look for our current edition, Volume 2 of Big Words You Ought to Know at that website. Let's move to our affirmation of the day. And another one that is a bit on the woo-woo side, but hey, sometimes you got to make that thing happen. And sometimes you have to remember that miracles happen in my life every day now. Every single day, miracles happen. Your life is a miracle. Waking up in the morning is a miracle. Having the ability to get out of bed and walk around is a miracle. You have to think that. This particular affirmation was one that also promotes a positive mindset. As I just said, expecting miracles, individuals are more likely to adopt a positive outlook on life, which can influence their overall happiness and well-being. Now, every day does not have to be, the waters parting the Red Sea type of miracle, but, sometimes things happen that are just sort of out of nowhere that make your life that much better. Those are miracles. It's not, healing lepers or things like that, but a miracle is a miracle based on where you make it happen. So expect a miracle because they happen every day in your life. We finally wrap up this week with a great celebration, a grand celebration, amazing celebration of the Slinky. It is Slinky Day, one of the most recognizable toys for decades. The Slinky walks its way downstairs, alone and in pairs, and with extra swagger on this day because it's Slinky Day. In 1943, Richard James, a naval engineer, was in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard working on a project that used springs to hold items up on moving ships. He accidentally knocked down a spring and watched it walk and then coil itself up neatly on the floor. Literally seeing the first Slinky walk. It was an idea-inspired moment, and along with his wife Betty, the pair hatched a plan to create a new toy. Betty combined. She didn't combine it. She combed through it. Combining didn't make any sense. Combed through the dictionary and came up with the word Slinky in 1945. With a $500 loan, the couple created James Industries. At the first, the Slinkies weren't selling very well, but when a demonstration table was set up at the Philadelphia Gimbel's department store, watching people see the Slinkies go down, it was a nutso celebration as holiday shopping season in 45 saw 400 sold for $1 each in 90 minutes. And people could not get enough of Slinkies. They're one of the most recognizable toys literally in the world. Celebrate your Slinky on the day. You want to get something a bit more tasty? Start with Cabernet Sauvignon Day. That's one. Also Toasted Marshmallow Day, which could go well with your Cabernet Sauvignon, but it's a little hot to be outside toasted marshmallows, but you do you. And today, on week 1 of the college football season, is National College Colors Day. So if you want to get out there and support for your team, your alma mater, or the team that you pretended you went to so that you can feel like you won the boys, go for it. Wear them colors today. That's it. That is your things you ought to know for the day, preceded by things you might not have heard for today. And today is Friday, August 30th, 2024. I am still Jay Cleveland Payne, and I'm glad to have you along for this ride. We go long, unfortunately, on Fridays and go a little longer today because we have to get some time to support our sponsors. Shout out to our partners, to Harold Braxton, Colby Green, and Eldon Kidd with the $5 level, a cup of coffee subscription that's monthly, and Joey Winters is right now in the $1 spare change subscription. This is all done through the Buy Me a Coffee platform. If you go to our website and click on partnerships, you can see how you can join us there for monthly subscriptions. There are higher levels if you want to go a higher level, and there are places for one-time subscriptions using Buy Me a Coffee and some other popular apps. If you want to send a one-time gift, send it to me. You'll get your shout out, and we will love you immensely. We also love the fact you want to help support something like this. We thank you so much for that one. So with that, we're done. We're wrapping up for the day. Make sure you remember that life is great, even when your life doesn't seem so great at the moment. Follow us on our feeds on Facebook and X. Email us at the conversation inbox gmail.com for your comments, concerns, and your complaints as well. Consider being a partner. Consider stopping by for more sponsors. Consider sharing us with other great folks because we think more sharing would be great. Sharing is caring, by the way. We're wrapping this up for this Friday. Of course, tomorrow is Saturday. We will have the weekly wrap-up, 12 stories from the week that I thought were sort of popping, the stories that popped out throughout the week that were tops on my end at this point. And we're going to do a special take, although it's 2 days later. We think we'll have a chance to actually have some real, let's just say real insight, because the instant takes are just sort of meh on the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz interview and what it means going forward between her campaign and the Trump campaign. So we'll get a little extra political this weekend going forward. In the meantime, enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. We'll come back for this thing on Monday with 10 stories for you from the weekend that you deem conversational. What stories are you deem conversational? Go to the feeds and make that happen this weekend.